Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up everybody? It's Marcus Grant from NFL Network.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
Marking nothing, but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
What up, world? I mean, we are literally right back from part one. This is episode 215.5 because we had Dustin on in the first half of the show, and in true Dustin fashion, he ended the stream like he's been known to do in the past. So we haven't had that happen in a while. So it wouldn't have really been a show without him doing that. So I'm actually kind of glad it happened. And maybe, who knows, maybe we get a lot of people that actually watch the show now because the first one's only like an hour long. So instead of like 2.5 hours. So we'll see. This might be a new thing. Maybe we'll just do like a Q&A session in the beginning, cut the stream, and then get to our like news and notes, game balls, and waiver wire targets in part two. So we might have to think about that, Frank, and just kind of break it up. We'll just have them, take a little interlude and jump in the next stream like we did here. So
right, real quick.
hopefully we'll get everybody back here, man. And then otherwise we'll just continue on where we left off. So again, really appreciate it, Justin. I don't even know why I called him that. Dustin for joining us, man, in the beginning. On the first half of the show, it was a lot of fun just being able to talk football with him again. So it might be him watching us right now. So making sure we got back on.
Right.
We're good.
Somebody knows.
So yeah, absolutely. So we're just getting ready to get into our news and notes. So we'll bring that up here now. So a lot of it, we kind of did cover there in the first half of the show. But have a couple news items here, and then of course we'll get into the injury updates. So just real quick, NFL announced today that the 2025 NFL Draft is going to be in Green Bay. I believe it was in Cleveland this last year. So going to be in Green Bay this year. Yeah, so it'll be held from April 24th through the 26th. So that's kind of cool. Just understanding when that's going to be for all of us Dynasty folks out there. In other news, you had Jonathan Gannon announcing that Kyler Murray will start for the Cardinals Sunday versus the Falcons. If all goes well in practice this week. Again, it says Murray will take reps with the starters and says they will activate him Wednesday. So just like I kind of predicted in the very beginning, week 10 was going to be the earliest that we've seen him.
Yeah.
And like I said, he has a week 13 bye. It's kind of like the preseason for him. So, we'll see, after, people are in mid-season form right now, and we'll see him kind of jump out there. But hey, seeing what Josh Dobbs did this weekend, who knows, maybe he could just kind of pick up like riding a bike where he left off.
Yeah.
I just hope he can protect himself, if he still has the speed to be able to get away, have to do those little spin cuts, having people land on him awkwardly. I mean, we just had like 5 quarterbacks go down last week. So just so much risk there, but the way the quarterback position's going, you almost have to take a flyer on him. So hopefully you did grab him.
Yeah, they don't have the luxury like they did with Dobbs, with Tune. Tune, not the guy.
Yeah, he's not that guy.
And Dobbs was kind of holding down the fort, albeit, some of them was in losing efforts. He still was, a relevant.
To me, it was the perfect storm. Like they're 1-7. Like he accidentally beat the Cowboys. Not even taking a shot there.
No,
but like,
I know what I mean. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like accidentally beat them. Otherwise, they've been competitive but lost. Like, isn't that like the exact thing you can do? Is like still be competitive, not be like a laughing stock, not just be a bye week, a taco buy team, but actually, playing teams, they have to worry about you, playing them legit, and then still getting the loss, increasing your draft pick stock. So, I mean, it's really kind of like the best of both worlds. But they moved on. And looks like Kyler will be back for week 10. So let's see how he looks. Yeah, so there you go. So moving on to the next item here, we have the Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. Speaking of Josh Dobbs, says that they'll practice this week as though Josh Dobbs will be the starter in Week 10. Jaron Hall is in the concussion protocol, and as we know, most guys miss at least one game. I think only one person's come back and played the very next week after suffering a concussion, which I think was Brock Purdy, but his was more like concussion-like symptoms. So he just went into the protocol and passed and was able to play. But Jaron actually took a big time hit. We all saw it. So most likely Dobbs is going to be the starter there for the rest of the year, which we hope JJ comes back, which I have down here in a little bit. Otherwise, Arthur Smith says the Falcons will stick with Taylor Heineke for Week 10 against Arizona, and he said they'll use the bye week will be the time to assess the quarterback position. So anything we had a good conversation about Dobbs in the first half of the show. Anything you want to add on the Tyler Heineke side here?
I think we should just gotta get rid of Arthur Smith as soon as possible over there at the Falcons, so it could be John Kibbe, so Pitts could be relevant, so all these number one draft picks that they've taken actually show what they're made of, instead of just some random plays that they get in here and there, and just bad coaching. I think it's just bad coaching over there. We should call it what it is, because he's definitely not putting his best players in a position to be able to do what they do best and perform. So I don't know. I think everybody's thinking the writing's on the wall for this guy, and it should be gone.
Yeah, and just because it kind of goes with what we're talking about, we got Unugas in the house. What's up, man? He says Josh Dobbs or Geno Smith's rest of season. That's a tough question. You would think it would be easy to say Geno, but given the week this last week,
I'm rolling dice.
And he says even Kyler.
Dobbs. I'm rolling the dice and going with Dobbs because he's shown that he could ball out in a difficult situation, and I think he has better weapons over there in Minnesota.
Especially if he gets JJ back.
Yeah, if he gets JJ back, dude, he could do some things. Geno has good weapons over there too, but you already know what he is, and he had a really good season last year, and he's not having that season this year, and that's what I told Anthony. I said, I don't think he's going to repeat that. No way. There's no way he can repeat that, and look at it.
Yeah, I guess you'd say you're right on that. I mean, he hasn't had that bad of a year. I mean, he's had, I guess you would say he has. I mean, he's only had one game over 20 points.
Yeah.
And then definitely this last week was definitely the low of the lows. And you hate a quarterback whose floor is like 4 points, or not even 4 points, 3.68. So that's a little tough. And then he has a tough schedule coming up. You got Washington, you got the Rams in the next 2 weeks, but then it's San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, Philly, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh to end the year. Versus
schedule.
Absolutely. And then for Dobbs, a little bit, not Dobbins.
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, there we go. For Dobbs, you're looking at New Orleans, then at Denver, Chicago, Week 13 bye, and then at Las Vegas, at Cincy, home against Detroit, and home against Green Bay. So I like that because basically all but one of those games is played in a dome. So at Denver is outside, and that's it. They only play one more time outside.
Right.
For Dobbs.
I'm just taking my chances with that guy. I think he's just a baller.
Yeah. We talked about Kyler's playoff schedule, which is a little tougher. We talked about, again, he's in Week 10 against Atlanta. Then he gets Houston, they've been no slouch. Then they get the Rams, which could go either way, at Pittsburgh, and then the Week 14 bye. And then he comes back to San Francisco, at Chicago, and then at Philly for 15, 16, 17. So those are some tough matchups. So, hopefully you just hope he's rounding into form by then, and the matchup's not, that big of a deal if he's back to being Kyler Murray. So just hard to trust him, especially coming out of bye, depending on how he looks with those first couple weeks. How are you going to feel about just starting him in the first round of your playoff against San Francisco? So, yeah. So that's kind of tough. Dobbs might be the best option out of those three there, Nogas. So there we go.
Yeah.
Dr.
Clutch did mention slightly panicking mainly right now. Could I send my current scenario and get some advice? Yeah, that's what we're here for.
For sure, Dr. Clutch. Yeah.
We'll take a look at it when we get a chance. We're going to read some more news and notes right now, but we'll get to it.
for sure. And Unoga said, "Oh damn, I made it." This is episode 215.5. We actually did a whole hour already, but you did make the second half of the show. We had our boy Dustin in here, and he shut down the stream.
Wreaking havoc.
which he did say sorry. He shouldn't be allowed to touch buttons. I was trying to tell you not to touch the button on the way out, but I think I might have just put that out in the universe. It doesn't understand do's and don'ts for those of you guys who read the secret out there. All right. So we'll move on here. That's what I had as far as our news topics there to discuss. The rest of these will just be kind of injury updates. Again, we're just on Monday here, so just kind of recapping what happened and some things heading here into week 10. If there's anything you want to talk about, make sure you just stop me and we'll go from there. So we got Jamar Chase dealing with the back injury per Zach Taylor. He said Chase is pretty sore right now. It got worse as the game went on. His status for week 10 right now is in question. So they're not really talking positive, like, oh, he'll be fine. It's just this or that. There looks like there's some concern there. So definitely going to want to keep your eyes on that. We have Kevin O'Connell.
Did you see when he fell? The whole the situation
going for that catch. Oh yeah,
he came up pretty ginger. They put a massage
eating pad massaging. Yeah.
So yeah, he's probably feeling it. So I don't think it's a too terrible of an injury or anything like that. You just took a hit like that, so it may take a week to get better.
You're gonna be sore. You're gonna be getting some massages and getting worked on. He probably won't practice much, and hopefully he'll be ready to go. And it's you just kind of take it easy. And I mean, these guys are in car wrecks every weekend. That's what we say, right? So he definitely got hit hard on that one. Not even by a player, just the ground, which sometimes hurts a little worse. Yeah, exactly. So moving on here, we got Kevin O'Connell said the Vikings are still determining whether to open Justin Jefferson's window to return to practice this week. So he has missed his 4 games at this point. And he says we're going to do what's best for Justin and make sure when he does return, he can be the Justin Jefferson that we all know and expect to see. So I like the sound of that. Hopefully they'll get him back here sooner than later, which is some reports we had come out last week that they're expecting it to be closer to the 4-week mark versus the 6-week mark, which they initially feared. So maybe they split the difference, keep him out 1 more week, and maybe go from there. We have when is their bye week? Did they already have it?
Vikings? I thought they already had it.
Then I just had Dobbs up here. Bye week 13.
There you go.
So yeah, I think he'll come back before the bye week. If he's gonna, I don't think they're gonna hold him out to the bye week and then just play him the last couple games. So he should come back hopefully this week, maybe next week. All right, so that's Justin Jefferson update. In regards to staying with the Vikings, we had KJ Osborne, Vikings wide receiver. He was being treated by trainers after taking that shot to the helmet. The stretcher came out for him, but he was able to stand up on his own and walked off the field on his own. So that was good to see. Everyone was all taking a knee around him. He was basically knocked out cold. If you did see that replay there, I don't know if you did see that, Frank, or not, but it was a pretty bad hit. Yeah, he was pretty much out cold. His hands were
out there.
Yeah, and then he got worked on, and so hopefully he's going to be good. He may be out a week, concussion protocol.
Yeah.
But you just wish him the best.
He's out for 1 week for sure.
Yeah, I doubt he plays this week. So keep firing up Addison, especially after week working with Dobbs. Maybe they can build some rapport. Vikings head coach, we'll stick with the Vikings, man. They had a lot of injuries.
Right.
Suffered a really bad one, man, with Cam Akers. Ruptured his left Achilles, and he's out for the season. That they confirmed today. He tore the right one a few years ago. That was the one he came back actually in the same season and ended up playing, kind of like Rodgers is trying to do. But this time he tore the right one, just a couple years later. So that's tough to see. It's tough enough just tearing one, let alone coming back from another one. And now you have both of them torn, especially after just getting traded. So, just tough break for Akers. So we'll see what happens. And, he was kind of making Madison play a lot better with him trying to take his job. So you kind of hoped he would be able to stay out there and keep getting the best out of Madison there. But hopefully it's a big opportunity for the Madison owners now that they don't have Akers breathing down his back.
Now you don't have to split tires, you don't have to worry about vulturing and things like that. And like you said, he started playing better because of that. So who knows? Maybe that'll continue. I really hope it does because he was drafted up there for some of these guys,
Yeah.
and
I have a couple of shares of
he
him personally.
yeah he was one of those guys that had that opportunity to be the guy because Cam Akers wasn't even there. You know what I mean? Like he was like,
Right.
oh, it's just Madison. There's nobody really behind him. So he had a great opportunity going into the season, and it didn't look too well. That's why they went after Akers, and it's also a good play. Honestly, Cam Akers is a decent player, but now with these Achilles and the tears, it's just you got to sit that guy out.
Yeah, gonna be tough. So we have Dolphins wide receiver Jalen Waddle dealing with the knee issue. He went out, I believe it was like the second play of the game after he made the catch on the very first play of the game. Got kind of rolled up on. I thought he might have been done for the day, the way he was kind of limping, but was able to get it loose on the weekend on the sideline, and was able to come back. So we'll see what ends up happening, especially being in a plane for that long with the altitude and all that kind of stuff. The swelling could get pretty bad. So just something to keep your eye on during the week. We'll keep you updated. We got Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson came up limping after picking up a fourth down. Harbaugh basically said he's fine though. He's good to go. He was taken out of the game late. That's just because they were up by a lot of scores. So he didn't have to finish. Why? Keep running him out there. We had more injuries to the more injuries, man, this week, and quarterbacks. We have Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. He went down on what looked like to be a hyperextended left knee, which he already had a brace on already. He was limping pretty bad to the sideline. I thought that was going to be it, which was, so far a pretty good game at that point. Again, you just hate to see injuries in general, let alone to, just high profile players.
Quarterbacks, yeah.
And especially, franchise type quarterbacks like this, one of the highest paid in the league. You want to see the best players out there. So, he ended up not missing a snap. They ended up punting the ball, I believe it was. Came back on the field. He went in. I heard he didn't even get like an injection. He just got an IV, I guess, during halftime, which had nothing to do with the knee, apparently. So, just something to keep your eye on. But
maybe
even obviously finished out the game.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
Going from
could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have a brace on there. You're protecting that area already, keeping things together.
Yeah.
So maybe so that's why he just kind of maybe went over the sideline, kind of adjusted his brace and got back in there.
All right. So I'm sure it's sore. But yeah. So he's pretty tough guy.
He's got a bye week, so now they're in a bye week now, so he's got a whole week to rest up and get better. So.
Right. That was a big game. Divisional game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just nice to see he was able to stick it out. So yeah. One guy who did try to stick it out, and we all saw him take that drop back, and then just his knee basically buckled. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. He had MRI today and confirmed that he, in fact, tore the ACL, and he's going to be out the rest of the season. So just imagine that. Tore his ACL, went back out there, got cleared, said he wanted to be out there, went back out there, tried to do that first drop back, and just knee buckled. He went to the ground. I don't think he fumbled, but he just fell down to the ground. And then that's when I think he knew. So maybe it was kind of together still, but then when he went to go just put that pressure on there, just tore it all the way through. So no more Daniel Jones. Obviously Tyler Taylor, I believe, is on the IR right now, along with Darren Waller. You got to think also too, Saquon owners, are they just going to put him on ice as well? Like, especially if they plan on maybe re-signing him or franchise tagging him next year. Just a lot of things. And, maybe if you might be able to sell Saquon high, or maybe he's the only offense, so he's worth keeping.
Even if
it's a tough call.
And they do fire him up, what's going to happen with them? The rest of the teams know they got to
probably not scoring touchdowns.
The rest of the team know he's got to stack the box. He's going to have some tough sledding, take some hits, so on and so forth. And everybody in the Giants, as I've said before, you got to get rid of fire sale. And,
even Saquon at this point. Yeah, sell them off before they see how bad it could get. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday for our roster management show. Another news here: you got Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert after having that big catch. Got taken down, ended up actually fracturing his forearm. They said he'll undergo an MRI today to determine if there was any other damage. That they couldn't find, of course, on the X-ray. But either way, they said he's meant to miss some time. and is going to be a candidate for injury reserve. They're saying he may only miss 4 weeks. Expect him to kind of come back this season, if possible. But again, just something to kind of keep your eyes on. So the only good thing is it is an upper body injury, so at least he'll still be able to work out, be in condition. So when he does come back, I'm not worried about firing him up. Because it wasn't like a lower extremity, lower leg, or just leg, type injury, leg, knee, ankle. Those are the ones where guys can't even get cardio and conditioning in. They have to do pool work and, other stuff, which isn't the same as being able to just hit the treadmill and, be out there running. He'll run with the cast. You can just get a new cast every day. Those guys are rich. They can just go in and get a new cast, every day.
Exactly.
Guys get casted just for games, when they put that club on there.
Exactly.
So they have no problem doing that. Lay people like you and I, we get one cast and it's on for like 3 months. And you just got to deal with all the nasty dirtiness that happens with that. So
I've never
anyway,
had that. Thank God, knocking on wood.
Oh, really? You've never broken anything?
Hell
Man,
no.
I've had. Oh, I had my foot broken because you had to drive me to work for like, what was that, 4 months or something like that? Yeah, when we were working together, because I had my stick, so I couldn't drive a stick when my foot was broken. And that was it was my left foot too, so it was like I couldn't do the clutch. Maybe if it was my other foot, I could have just done the gas. If my other foot was good, I could have been doing the clutch more. But I don't know, it's not safe to be driving with the cast on that other foot. You can't even feel the pedal. Yeah, that'd be tough. But yeah, so that's crazy. No broken bones, man. I've broken my hand.
I might have broken some stuff, but I never went to the doctor. I didn't have a cast.
Okay. So that's different. Just rub some tussin on it. You'll be all right. All right. So
the 90s, bro.
Right. So the injury that knocked out Colts wide receiver Josh Downs wasn't a new injury per Shane Steichen. It was a continuation of what he was dealing with during the week. They said, they made him active. He was kind of questionable heading into it. Game time decision, decided to play him, and ended up not playing at all. So this is when you just wish the coaches and players would just sit out. And, when you're hurt, like as much as you want the guys to play, like if they're not hurt and they can't be themselves, like I'd rather just have them out than start a game. You put them in your lineup and they play and then they're gone immediately, So that's the risk you have to be willing to take sometimes.
Injure themselves even more, that kind of type deal, which is worse. Because then
now you're out even longer.
And like Daniel Dimes, he goes back out there and boom, now you got a full flat tire.
Exactly.
You were just going down before.
Exactly. So there goes Josh Downs, who was having a nice little breakout there. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes, and hope it's nothing serious. They're definitely going to take their precaution now. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson, who I've been asked a lot today if he should be or if he's droppable. He left the game with multiple injuries, a slew of injuries, a chest injury, a back injury. He was also being evaluated for a concussion, who came back. They said he's not in concussion protocol, no concussion there. And they don't consider the chest and back injuries anything, severe. So he could be limited this week. Keep an eye on it.
He's if he is back, candidate for me. I have him, and he does get looks at the end zone, though. I got to give him that. But
I mean, he is like 6'4", 6'5", or something.
Hasn't been there, and it's just injury after injury after injury. It's not one thing; it's another with this guy. It's
or all of them at the same time at this point.
Or like this case, it's multiple.
It's everything
at one time. I'm ready to move on. I'd rather have Jaden Reed over there instead, that we mentioned last week.
Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs. If you're
Wicks.
inclined to have somebody over there with Green Bay, that's what I'd be looking at, and just moving on for him. And I got to make room. I got to pick up some guys, because some guys are on a bye week. Did we mention the bye weeks? I think we ran through them really fast. I'm not sure if we mentioned them.
No, we didn't mention them, but I do have them here.
Yeah, 4 teams on the bye: Kansas City, the Rams, Miami, and Philadelphia. Philadelphia,
some serious bye weeks this
week. Big teams, Miami, a lot of big players. Those 3 teams right there alone are
your number 1 tight end, the 2 top 3 quarterbacks, the number 1 tight end, the number 1 wide receiver, top 3, probably a top 4 quarterback, top 5 quarterback. That's a lot of
firepower.
A lot of firepower. Yeah. Then you got Coop and Nakua out as well.
Yeah, which we already.
I mean, you got a lot of Pacheco. He's been doing pretty well, and Smith, AJ Brown's been killing it. He's top 5 wide receiver. Yeah, there's a Dallas Goedert. He would have missed anyway with this fracture, but
this injury.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on there. So, great. I just shut down my show notes. So why don't you go ahead and read off the next thing while I bring it back?
We're next
the wrong
guy after Jalen Hurts. Dallas Goddard, Josh Downs, and we just went over to Christian Watson. So we got the Bears running back Khalil Herbert, designated return from injury reserve. So he's open in the 21-day practice window, and has been open. So it's just going to muddle the backfield over there for the Bears some more. With Khalil Herbert back, we want to see some Roshan. We want to see everybody's over there. Just Deontay Foreman is getting looks. So
Does he go back to being inactive once Herbert comes back? I mean, he was the inactive one beforehand.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just crazy.
You got me
Yeah,
on
who
that.
knows?
You got 3 other running backs that I'm seeing right here on their running back depth chart here. So, but we know it's going to be probably Khalil and Roshan with a mix of
Because I don't think Foreman plays like special teams, so I don't know
yeah,
if they would need him there.
exactly.
So
So
it's tough.
just
Yeah, we'll
just
see
too
what
much
happens.
going on. Just too much going on over there.
But definitely keep Herbert, or if he's out there, go swoop him up.
Yeah, if he's somebody let him go and whatnot. He's there's not enough running backs to go around right now. So even a piece of a running back that's somewhere you might be happy with, right?
It's worth it. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you finish it off?
We got your 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel dealing with the shoulder. Returned to practice today. He's going to be good to go. However, Trent again ankle did not practice again. So we still have some injury concern over there for the 49ers, but you got wide receiver Deebo Samuel returning. Hopefully that helps out your
I
Brock
hope so,
Purdy.
man.
Stops the slide over there for the 49ers. Who do
We
you
need
guys
a
got
W.
playing up next?
I don't even know. We're on to Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right. It is Cincinnati. That
No,
is
I'm just kidding.
correct.
We're playing Jacksonville. It should be a good game.
Oh,
Both of
yeah?
us coming off a bye. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, both of them are well rested.
In
Let's see what
Jacksonville.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's the terrible part because, we had, I can't even
We
think
have
of
to
his
go
name
East
over there.
Coast for one of those early games. I hate that. We're probably going to do bad. We're going to have four game losing streak. I
Yeah,
can
we
see
had,
it now.
that's what it was, Trevor Lawrence on the bye last week, right? And fired up Geno Smith to get you, what, like 3, 4 points. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's
The only time you needed the guy, and that's all he does for you.
right.
So anyways, moving on.
He's
You
like,
got
yeah. Smells like someone's on a do not touch list at this point. Go ahead. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence.
Speaking of, right, Jaguars wide receiver Zay Jones is still going to be day to day with the knee injury, and he got a little workout in today, so he is kind of a waiver wire pickup if he gets um, on the field. Definitely worth something to be looking at. The Bears
Agreed.
quarterback Justin Fields limited in practice today. Team's going to go through walkthrough Monday. Tuesday night practice on Wednesday, considered day to day. So he might be returning pretty soon, hopefully over there for the Bears, and it should turn things around over there. They started finally kind of getting things together, and then he went down with his injury. So hopefully, maybe take a week to get kind of back into what the groove of things, basically, right, and see where they go. Um,
Mhm.
we got Saints running back Condre Miller suffered an ankle sprain Sunday. Went over the Bears. He's undergoing imaging and trying to determine how bad it really is. So he's another guy that was coming up and coming, and taking some work there with Kamara, but now he's down and out. So maybe
Can't
a
stay
week or
healthy
two.
either, man. It's like his third
Yeah,
injury this year
yeah,
already.
yeah. Right. I was about to say, I thought went down earlier again
Yeah.
in the season. So kind of tough over there. It's been a tough season for a lot of people. So many more injuries this year. It sometimes
Yeah.
it goes like that. Things it's like ebbs and flows with injuries. Some years are just worse than others. It seems like. But we got
Yeah.
Dan Campbell talking about it's looking good for the Lions running back David Montgomery to return this week,
Let's
and they're
go.
coming off their bye, so that, they got plenty of rest. So hopefully he does well. Let's see how it works out with him and Jameer Gibbs, and I think he'll go back into the primary role, but I'm sure they're feeling comfortable with what they got in Gibbs now, and maybe they fire him up some more. At least do some time share with both of them, and that
The thing
actually
you
look
hope
good.
is, the thing you hope is it just makes their offense more efficient, which means more first downs, and that just means more opportunities. Like you said, touches equals targets, or
It's
targets equals touchdowns equals points, or however the saying goes.
Yeah.
So if they're moving the ball, moving the chains, and they're able to work these backs, you just hope, as a Montgomery owner, he gets that goal line work, and as a Gibbs owner, you hope he gets those targets. You want to see 4 to 6 targets a game. You want to see good usage there. You want to see some efficient running. So when he is in there, they're thinking pass and they're able to run those draws or screens. to him as well, and he can use that explosiveness to get on the edge. And I think Demont is their hammer, and nail, so to speak. So Dan Campbell said that's how he wants to run that offense, and he likes a guy he can give 25, 30 carries if he wants to, and he did that with Gibbs. He's done it with Demont. So you just hope you have the right guy.
Let's hope he stays healthy.
Ooh,
If
trade
you have that guy,
completed.
right? If you have that
Yeah.
guy, let's hope he stays healthy over there.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
got
he's dealing
Sean-
with his second injury of the year already. So where he's
exactly.
missed
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
That's how you got the trade on him. Remember, I was like, wait a
Right.
minute here. Now it worked out again. It worked
Good
out
for
again.
you. Yeah. I got you the
Sean,
one game, but
the
other than
one
that,
game. Then you don't even start, right?
yeah. And I haven't been able to use them since.
Trade me
So.
more ever since then.
Right.
Sean McVay says he expects Kyron Williams to be back with the Rams after he comes off injury reserve. He still has missed week 11 with the Saints Seattle game, but should be ready for week 12 matchup against Cardinals. I know that I've seen he was Henda was being highly dropped with everybody. Didn't have a good game. And now with the news of Kyron Williams coming back, it's going to be hard sledding for those guys. I do have a piece of Kyron Williams, so I'd be happy to have him back. And it was a good little stint with Hendo, but it's time to move on.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead. Last one.
Last guy here is Falcons coach Arthur Smith said he's going to hope to get wide receiver Drake London growing back this week. So let's see what happens there. Drake London has not had the best of seasons so far, so hopefully, things start looking up for them guys over there. But I think that Arthur Smith, as we were talking earlier, is the problem, and he needs to go. I think sometimes you got to shake up the team. I mean, the Raiders were willing to do it. Maybe the Falcons need to start thinking the same thing.
Nice. All right, we're gonna end that because I just had a trade go down in my auction league, full PPR
good.
auction draft. Shout out to the competitive auction PPR league. And let me take that banner off. We had Devontae Adams and Javonte Williams for Jamar Chase.
Oh wow,
This is in a paid league.
interesting.
Devontae Adams, Javonte Williams for Jamar Chase.
And Chase is down 1 week at least, maybe, possibly, right?
Possibly. I'll take the Chase side.
They still would take Chase.
I'll take the Chase side. For
Yeah,
sure.
Adams is in a rough spot now with the whole quarterback situation, and everything that's going on over there. But he had been quarterback proof. Hopefully they fix that situation up, and you might be all right. And with Javonte, he's playing pretty well. I mean, that's the kind of like the cherry on top right there, right?
Yeah, we'll see. All right. I just want to get your quick thoughts on that. I'll have to digest a little bit, but my initial reactions, I'll take Chase for that all day. So shout out to the guy selling Adams high and Javonte, who's somebody's RB4. Remember we were just talking about that earlier, the RB4,
Right.
and Adams for Chase. So go do that trade if you're still watching. All right, so let's do our weekly performers here. We'll get into our trade targets and get out of here because it's already getting late after our little snafu here. So do you just want to give out game balls, or do you want to announce the winners? We don't have to go into like their full stats. You just want to list them.
We could just
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Highlight some guys real quick. Because we wanted to highlight maybe this guy here. I know we were talking about him earlier. Smoking the Cat mentions him again. Thanks for the Taysom advice. It's fire. Taysom did, again, we went through, basically had 11 for 52 yards there rushing, caught 4 passes for 13 yards and a touchdown, and threw a pass for a touchdown. So he gets 2 touchdowns on the game. The guy's just balling out over there in New Orleans, and worth the waiver wire pickup. Like I was mentioning earlier, I had to look up his stats. I was trying to find him under tight end, but he happens to be under quarterback, and he only threw 1 pass at that. So I'm not sure why they have him over there, but definitely a baller, definitely a waiver wire pickup. He's probably picked up by now, and people are starting him. He's no longer a secret at this point. But if you were able to benefit from our advice and start him, you're still doing pretty good. Even with Jawan Johnson came back, I thought he was gonna, take a hit there, and I think that's why they moved him over to more quarterback. But he's really running back and wide receiver at this point, and he's still doing good. So, you kind of want to fire him up. I want to point him out. And since we're on tight ends, I think we had a list of them here. I put up a number of guys here.
I just realized in the league that trade went down. I lost by 2 points.
Oh, that's
and
terrible.
I had Gino in my lineup only scoring me 3.68
That's
points.
what it
Like if you
was.
would
It's Gino, dude. I
like
told you
literally
about
Gino
Gino.
cost
I
me that,
told you
man.
about Gino.
That's tough. You did.
I
Anyway,
told you about
my bad.
it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's
Go
all
ahead,
good.
man.
Dalton Schultz had a really nice game over there in Houston, also because of CJ Stroud just blowing it up today, as well as the other
You're
guys that
going
were over there.
backwards with tight ends first, huh?
Yeah, so I said I'm gonna start with tight ends because I mentioned Taysom Hill. Wanted to,
Yeah,
mention the fact that Cat's talking about him.
good
He
stuff.
goes for 11 for 10 for 130 yards and a touchdown. Ends up with 22 fantasy points, tearing it up over there. Cole Kmet is a thing back again. Um, 8 of 6 for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looks like a solid set it and forget it start at this point. I mentioned Jake Ferguson when he came off the bye to make sure he picked him up. I think it's 2 weeks in a row now with the touchdown, 7 for 70, 91 yards and a touchdown.
Oh,
18
you
for
didn't like him
62.
so much this week. I started him against you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that okay, it is what it is, man. It is what it is sometimes. I
I
was
took that advice from you.
I have a keeper Hurts and Smith, and yeah, it hurts. It's bittersweet, right? You're getting your
Yeah.
fantasy points, and you're getting beat up in your own real life team. So another guy that came up over here, Tampa Bay, Kate Otten. He was the thing back in the day with every once in a while with Brady. So now he came up with 9 of 6 for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns over there. Might be somebody. I think I forgot who had a question earlier about dropping people and even just doing waiver wires with his tight ends or streaming tight ends. And it's definitely a possibility, and you could definitely get it done. It's hard to keep these guys rolling, but I think a couple of these guys like Dalton Schultz and Jake Fullerson and Cole Kmet are definitely guys you could just kind of keep starting week after week, and just kind of live with the results. Kate Otten, John Smith, I think maybe specifically Kate Otten might be a week to week type situation. But if you get lucky and start them in the right week, you're going to get some nice points out of these guys. Lastly is John Smith against 6 to 5 for 100 yards and a touchdown. It was just like the week of the tight ends. It seemed like to me. And those are the top guys over there. Without going too far into all those stats, you want to go
Who you
off with
giving the game
the.
ball?
I'm gonna stick to Dalton Schultz here. He used to be the ex Cowboy. We were waiting him to do some things, and this is not the only week he's been doing some things over there at Houston. I think he's going to remain a target and remain relevant over for Houston. So I would say him. We already had given him last week to Taysom Hill, so I can't just keep giving them to him. So
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna reach down a little farther. I'm gonna go with. He didn't really score too many points. I'm gonna go with Dalton Kincaid. When we had three guys who scored 20 points, they scored 2 touchdowns. Only Dalton Schultz had a similar kind of stat line: 11 targets, 10 catches. Those 11 targets, 10 catches is what I like to see, especially when those catches are coming from Josh Allen. The touchdowns will come. 81 yards on that. And just looks to be part of that offense. He did have a fumble that he lost as well too, or else he would have been a little higher. Had he not lost that fumble, he would have actually been the RB or tight end 6 overall instead of tight end 10. That's just how many points separate these guys. Like we always talk about, it's not much. But you did have those top 4 guys going for 18 plus with Ferguson, Otten, Kmet, and Schultz. But I'm gonna give it to Kincaid. I like the breakout, and hopefully it continues even when Knox gets back.
yeah, here's the thing.
So let's move on. Get through this thing.
Let's go reach out to start at the top here for the wide receivers. Joshua Dobbs, we mentioned earlier, for stepping in over there in Minnesota, coming
Wait,
off the
quarterbacks or
bench.
wide receivers?
Quarterback. I said quarterback.
Oh.
I went to the top. Well, I guess we could go all the way to the top. Right? CJ Stroud. Right? CJ Stroud, the man of the week, QB1,
Yeah,
51.8
because I
fantasy
think Dobbs.
points.
I think you were on the waiver wire
Yeah,
ads.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
All
You're right.
right, go
Go
ahead.
look it up.
And you
Go look
did
it
say
up.
wide receiver though. So anyway,
Oh, my
reset
bad.
it. Go ahead.
We're the top quarterbacks of the week here. CJ
There
Stroud,
you go.
51.8 points. Goes for 30 for 42, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns. Dak
Ooh,
had a nice game as well. 34.36 points. And I think you mentioned you had Dak and who was it that you had
Stroud on the
yesterday?
same team.
Stroud. on the same team, and you end up starting Dak.
Last week I started Stroud over Dak. Dak went off.
Dak went off.
Stroud didn't do anything, so I switch it. Start Dak this week, and Stroud just goes insane.
Crazy, right? So it's just luck of the draw there. But at least you have two decent guys.
At least I have both of them. Yeah,
and you're
QB1, QB2.
29 for 44, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very nice day. Jalen Hurts as well. I called this game. I was talking about Dallas and Philly being a very good game, and it did turn out to be a really good game. Good shootout, good fantasy point production for everybody. 17 to 23, 207 yards and 2 touchdowns for 29.88. And again, we're just trying to go back to Joshua Dobbs real quick because the guy.
Well, he did have 10 for 36 and a touchdown on the ground for Hurts.
On the ground. Oh, yeah, for Hurts. Yeah, because he's running. So, but sorry, you're right. Should have read off the rushing.
Only because he had a touchdown there, but that's
okay. Yeah, should have read off the rushing. But Dobbs just coming off the bench, man. I'm just impressed with this guy.
QB4
doing some work over there in Arizona, not getting the wins, but I mean he was balling out still. And then gets traded to Minnesota, is on the bench, trying to, just learn the offense, at least get there 1 week, get his feet wet. He gets, thrown into the fire, ends up going for 20 for 30, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns, rushed 7 attempts to 66 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Got you 28.92 points off the bench. I doubt he was even started hardly anywhere, I imagine. Probably maybe daily fantasy or somewhere by accident because he wasn't supposed to be doing anything this week. He's definitely going to be the next week's starter.
Honestly, didn't even know he was active.
Right. Let's see what happens when Jay Jetta comes back. Good showing from Josh Allen as well. So we just mentioned that real quick. Rachaad White is doing Rachaad White things now. It's 2 weeks in a row, I think. This week.
Oh, we have to give game balls for quarterback. Don't go that fast.
Oh, my bad. Well, come on. The obvious guy is CJ Stroud, man. Look at that.
No, so you're going Dobbs. I'm gonna go Stroud. How do I not go Stroud?
Yeah.
470 and 5 touchdowns. So that's it. All right, go ahead. Running back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Top performers at the running back position. Go ahead.
We'll run through. Rachaad White, man, he's my guy. I didn't start him this week, but he's doing good things now. 2-3 weeks in a row now. Now he has the starting job to himself. 20 to 73, 20 attempts, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 targets for 46 yards. Ends up with 25.9 fantasy points. RB1 for the week. Josh Jacobs still, just getting thrown out in the fire. He's got to do something over there for Vegas. I mean, what else do they have, right? 26 attempts for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns over there. Ramondre Stevenson finally shows up, and he gets 9 targets, 87 yards, and a touchdown as well. And then
he's who had the big touchdown run, a 64-yarder. Remember we were talking about who had the big runs? I was like, didn't somebody have one this week? It was Mitchell and Stevenson had one too. Yeah. Go ahead.
And Keaton Mitchell is the waiver wire pickup of the week. We want to see if you could get a piece of him over there with the Baltimore offense. That guy goes for 9 attempts, 138 yards, a touchdown, and 1 receiving. He actually went -4 yards on there, but he did have like a 40 or 60 yard burner on there. Not a lot of attempts and plenty of yards. So he did his part over there for Baltimore. And lastly, Derrick Henry, the king.
Old faithful.
Still doing his thing. 17 touches, 77 yards, 75 yards at the touchdown, and 3 targets for 27 yards. Are you going to get a game ball on that?
I'm going to have to go with Ramondre, man. He helped me win a week this week after sitting him for like 3 weeks in a row. Obviously with a lot of guys on a bye, I had to throw him in there and he performed, so I was real happy with that. So
you started him? Oh, nice. That's time to start him.
I've been sitting him like the last 3 weeks too, and I was like, you know what, I think this matchup's right. I think he's kind of coming along, and I think I was in a situation where, because I have Demon on IR, Herbert on the IR, I was like, well, I drafted you to be this guy, so this is what I need you. So he made it a better case for himself not being on my do not touch list. So he helped me out there.
Sorry, I'm trying to look for a charger because my phone laptop's dying.
Oh, we don't need that to happen. But yeah, so running back position.
Let me find a charger. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll move on. You can come back and give your game ball after. So we'll do wide receivers here. Wide receiver 1, Tank Dell, 26.6 points, 11 targets, 6 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 carries for 2 yards on the ground. His running mate, Noah Brown, who I started in a couple of places as well this week, Liked kind of the matchup there and what I'd been seeing. He was one of our waiver wire targets last week's show. So hopefully you guys maybe took a flyer on him, and based on the buys and maybe with Cooper Kupp, and Nakua with Stafford being out, maybe you threw him in there and got lucky, like I did. 24.3 points, 6 targets, 6 receptions for 153 yards and a touchdown. And even our boy Nico Collins still had a nice day. Not as nice as these guys as the wide receiver 1 and 2 overall, but he found the end zone there on Stroud's 5 touchdown day. So just nice all around. John Mechie did leave that game actually with an injury, unfortunately, or maybe he could have ate as well too. You have Frank's boy here, CD Lamb, having basically a career day, finishing as a wide receiver 3, 22.6 half PPR points here against this Philly defense. 16 targets, 11 catches, 191 yards. Didn't find the end zone. It went to like Jalen Tolbert and a couple other people instead. Obviously missed with Shoemaker there, and yeah, just Dak's gonna throw to the other guys there. Missed Brandon Cooks on that same play, I think, to Ferguson, and Ferguson got in there. I think he had 1 or 2 touchdowns as well too. So Lamb will get his. You like to see those 11 catches and 191 yards. Mari Cooper had himself a day. Wide receiver 4, 22.4 points with Deshaun Watson back. 5 targets, 5 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown was kind of fluky, hit off someone's face mask, bounced up in the air, right in Cooper's hands.
Yeah.
But we'll take it. we'll take
Whatever
it.
it takes, right?
Absolutely. Even without that, I think he still would have had 4 catches with
100 yards.
100 and something yards anyway too. So still wasn't a bad day. Stephon Diggs finishing as your wide receiver 5, kind of got billed out late. On that last drive, they kind of had him under wraps for a good while, and then just kind of towards the end, when they were playing a little more prevent, they let Diggs kind of unleash a little bit. Finishes with 6 catches on 7 targets, 86 yards and a touchdown, and 19.6 fantasy points. So as far as your wide receivers go, who you giving out a game ball here to?
My boy CD, man, he's balling
Gotta
out.
go CD, huh?
Wide receiver 1. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's getting fed the ball, and he's showing he could be that guy, even without the touchdown, the 16 targets and 11 receptions against a very stout Eagles defense speaks volumes, I think. So, yeah, that's the guy.
All right. Just to be a little different, I'm gonna reach down a little bit here. I'm gonna go with last week's wide receiver 7. This week's wide receiver 9. So 2 top 10 finishes after we were ready to just start dropping him, which he was dropped in several leagues that I've seen. I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. 8 targets, 4 catches for 50 yards. Yeah, for a touchdown, 14.9 fantasy points. It was just nice to see him have a decent game, especially against a tough New England, defense. Just nice to see him getting worked in. It could be a fluke maybe because no Curtis Samuel there. But we'll see. Hopefully these are, things to come. It's much better than seeing him practice and being the placeholder. If you did, remember seeing that video on Twitter, which kind of made me lose some faith on him.
Like, oh, this is what he's delegated to? No.
Yeah.
They just got to be reminded what he can do.
Yeah, it was, remember when they had like Antonio Gibson playing special teams? It's like that's where you kind of go to die, I guess.
Yeah.
Over there in Washington, so you don't want to be on that special teams field. So maybe he's just messing around, doing some stuff. But maybe he's like the emergency backup guy in case the other placeholder, maybe he was having flu-like symptoms. So they asked, who might be able to do it, and so maybe he was just giving it a shot. So when you get those 20-second clips on Twitter or X, sometimes they could get taken out of context, but. Anyway, enough about that. That's our wide receiver position. We already did tight ends. So I think that wraps up our top performers in game balls.
Yeah,
or did you give out your game ball, right? Oh yeah, your boy CD. That's right. That's
not
right.
for the running backs though.
Yeah, go back to running backs.
I'm gonna go with Rachaad White for actually, doing what he was being drafted for, and having the decent games like this because he hasn't been performing like that throughout the year. And he's finally putting some pretty decent games together, making me feel confident to start this guy week after week. So yeah, finally putting some mustard behind his name that he needed because I think he was drafted in the third or whatnot, and just not performing.
All
But
right,
he's
there we
getting it
go.
done now.
There we go. All right, let's see if we can fly through these waiver wire ads. So I only have a couple kind of here this week. We'll start at the quarterback position. So my top three quarterbacks that you could add this week, especially with a lot of guys on bye. We have the guy we've been talking about a lot, Josh Dobbs. 20% owned on Sleeper, 17% owned on Yahoo. Getting this New Orleans defense, which might be a tough matchup, but they're going to play in the dome, at home. So I do like that. And good offense. So they should be putting, points up. So there should be opportunities for Dobbs to throw there. You doubt Madison's going to be able to run on this New Orleans offense. So they're going to call on Dobbs again, and hopefully you can have, a similar, if not better, day.
Just when he has his final opportunity with Akers going down, and he's been playing better now, he gets a tough defense.
Right.
Right? It just doesn't get better.
So yeah, so I'll definitely take a shot on him. Baker Mayfield, he finished as a QB7 this week with 23 points, 49% owned on Sleeper, 48% owned on Yahoo. He gets Tennessee next. So kind of a tough matchup, but we've seen what Pickett just did to him last Thursday. So he does have the weapons in Godwin and Evans. And obviously we saw Otten just have a great game. So it's there, and just got outdueled by a dude that threw for 470 and 5 touchdowns. It wasn't even like Baker, played bad, 265 and a touchdown himself, or 2 touchdowns himself.
Yeah.
And then I think they had that Mike Evans one that was actually called back, or else he could have had a bigger day. Which I was glad, because I was playing Mike Evans in a couple places. I was like, all right, we'll take that one. So Baker Mayfield I have, and then the last quarterback I have, well, I guess I have 2 more. But I won't even take credit for the next guy, because you were the one who added him on last week. But Sam Howell finished as your QB12 this week. 62% owned on Sleeper, 62%. Excuse me, 62% on Yahoo. I think that's the first time I've seen the ownership percentages be exactly the same on both sites. That was kind of weird. And they get Seattle next, obviously coming off a bad game in Seattle. This Washington defense is pretty bad after trading away Young and Sweat. So they're going to be, playing from behind, I think. So they're going to call on Howell to have a lot of attempts. He had 45 attempts this game, 325 yards, and that touchdown to Dotson. And then I'll let you take this last guy here.
We got Kyler Murray here. He's just coming off the IR. He's slated to come back. The coach already said he's going to be starting up this next week. He's 60% owned on Sleeper, 59% owned on Yahoo. And so he's going to be activated. Next opponent is going to be Atlanta, which is just garbage. So
their defense is all right, but they're both garbage teams.
Yeah, they're both garbage teams. So, hopefully Kyler has an easy game back to get kind of his feet wet, knock some of that rust off. And, as Anthony's mentioned, he just has a tough schedule going forward. So it's going to be not the best slating for Kyler. So hopefully he stays healthy through this stretch, so we can see him come back healthy for next year and get a good season on. But definitely still available in some of the leagues out there. So I'd definitely look for him, especially with, like to mention the powerhouses that were out on the bye this week. People will be hunting for quarterbacks and whatnot out there.
Yep. And then there's your, Gardner Minshew's and guys like that who might still be out there, just with all these guys on bye weeks that you might be forced to start. Anyone but basically the Giants quarterback. Just let him be.
Yeah, whatever's going on over there.
Yeah. So you ready to move on to running backs here? You got any more quarterbacks?
Running backs is good.
All right, let's do it. We'll try to get this thing under an hour here. Part 2. So number one guy I have on my list here is Keaton Mitchell. The hot item this week. He's only 3% owned on Sleeper, 5% on Yahoo. I think he's a guy you need to at least have on your bench. There's several guys I would potentially drop for him. I'd consider dropping maybe even Christian Watson. Maybe you drop someone like Roshan Johnson. Definitely dropping Amari DiMarcado at this point. You can drop basically any Cardinals running back, considering James Conner is kind of coming back, and just take your chance on this up and coming kid here. He has the speed. He's kind of different than what they have in that backfield now with Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. He's not just a carbon copy of somebody else. So I think there's an opportunity where they find a way to get the ball in this guy's hands, and maybe he's like a Devon A-Chain light. You never know. So maybe you could just be efficient. Obviously not 15.3 yards per carry efficient, but maybe there's an opportunity for him to carve out a role in this team who has a good defense that will be running, run the ball, hopefully a lot, building out, draining out the clock, playing good defense and efficient offense. And they really don't have a passing game, so they're going to rely on that, especially when the weather starts to kick in here soon. So he's somebody I like. I'm not saying you have to go put him in your lineup right away, but someone, if you have that spot, to kind of free up, he's a guy I'd be willing to take a chance on.
Yeah.
Based on his intangibles. And I'm pretty sure you agree with most of that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just know he's going to be behind Gus the Bus. Gus the Bus over there is definitely the lead back. But this guy could spell him. It could be a whole, 1-2 punch type combo. And he might get some opportunities, especially as well as he did. Coaches don't just not pay attention to that. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. The only other guy I really had on my list here, and again, he only played 18% of the snaps, so there's an opportunity he could, have that role increase. But as I was saying, another guy just, you should look out for if he's on the wire, Jaylen Warren. He finished with 12.8 points against this Tennessee defense, who's known to have pretty good rushing defense. He is 71% owned on sleeper, kind of outside our 65% threshold. But he just hit the 65% threshold on Yahoo, so I wanted to make sure I include him in there because I've been saying, to get him, and I had to start him in several places this week because of my bye weeks, and was very happy with those 12.8 half PPR points and a few more points than that in your full PPR leagues. Any other running backs that you kind of had this week? That
I know that people are looking at Zach Charbonnet because he did outtouch.
He outsnapped him. He didn't outtouch him.
Outtouch.
But he did play more
Kenneth
snaps.
Walker, but it's just terrible games over there for both of them. Anyways, managed like 13 yards, but maybe better days ahead. But the schedule is not all that great, favorable. After Washington and Rams, you get San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco, then Philly, and Tennessee. So it doesn't, week 16 it starts lighting up. Then you end up with Pittsburgh at the end. Not always the best schedule, and we've been kind of like on the bench with this guy. So that's why there's really not much in the running back room to be going after, and being happy, comfortable, or anything like that. Starting with these guys, right? I mean, you're just kind of hoping for a touchdown, and
I just think it was a fluke game. They ran into a buzzsaw in Baltimore, and they were kind of forced to throw, and Gino didn't have a good day. They couldn't move the chains, and like you said, gotta get those touches in to get those targets. Gotta keep the chains moving so you can score some points. And when that doesn't happen, that's what that's the result. So yeah, so well said. Anybody else you have on your list there?
Yeah,
for running backs. All right, so we'll move on here. Wide receivers, kind of power through this here. We'll mention the wide receiver 1 and 2 this week. Tank Dell finishing as your wide receiver 1, 61% owned on sleeper, 48% on Yahoo, so he's under that 65% threshold. Again, 11 targets, 6 catches, 114, 2 touchdowns. Obviously not going to get this every game, but I think Houston's realized that they can't run whether they have Dameon Pierce or not. So they're going to ask the skid to reach back and throw it, and CJ Stroud. So, we did see he threw it, 42 times this last game.
Yeah.
So, if that keeps up, then these receivers are going to be getting that work. So, if he's out there in your league, then, I think he's worth, good 10 to 15% of your original fab, 10 to 15 bucks. On waiver, I would drop for him if I had that available right now and was hurting for a wide receiver. And then his running mate, Noah Brown, 4% on sleeper, 2% on Yahoo. Not spending that much, maybe closer to $4 to $8. Maybe I would spend on Noah Brown just to kind of have a guy there, depth piece, if anything were to happen in Tank, who just kind of came back from injury. Because, of course, there is Nico Collins there still, too. He caught the first touchdown. So, and that's who the teams are mostly, focusing on taking away. But obviously Tank Dell has the speed. He has the connection with Stroud, having played together in college. So I think both Dell Brown and of course Collins, who's already rostered, should be rostered when you're in an offense like this that can have this type of ceiling. So
Yeah,
um,
they're
you want a
definitely going
piece
to
of
be
it.
throwing the ball. It's a running offense, not a passing offense, not a running offense. So, these guys
Exactly.
are valuable. This is the second week in a row with Noah Brown getting a touchdown, and I think you fired him up, and you kind of had a good game with him. So, I don't know if I continue to fire him up, but definitely worth the stash, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he was a bye week filler to me.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm saying.
who knows, he could turn
Might be a B
into
White filler
more.
for the next guy, right?
Yeah, you never know. Might be worth holding on to. Throw him in there again. Try to get lucky. So another guy I had on my list here, Tyler Boyd, 66% owned on Sleeper, but only 57% on Yahoo. Only because of the Chase back injury. That popped up here later in the day. We saw kind of his usage last night, and that could continue. Of course, if Chase is out. Um, Obviously, he's not Chase, but you would assume that there's going to be targets to go around in that offense. So with all the attention that Chase gets, maybe the maybe the receivers would have some one-on-one opportunities. Maybe defenses would put more pressure on Burrow versus having to roll coverage towards Chase, so he doesn't torch you. Quentin Johnson is who I had on here, 51% owned on Sleeper, 34% on Yahoo, and didn't really have a great game this week. But if they continue to work it out, he could have could have some value there. But I'm not breaking the bank or anything for him. Just more so if you kind of just looking for some upside. He's attached to Herbert, obviously. Again, they didn't really need to throw this week, so I don't think it was something you completely judge. But maybe we'll find out more next week. So already passed his bye, so it could be a bye week filler type guy. With the bye NATO coming up here soon. So we'll
Yeah.
check it out. Anybody else you have there for wide receiver?
I got Demario Douglas there, New England. Still seems to be the number one clear guy. We mentioned him last week. Mentioned the game. He had almost a similar stat line this time. 5 of 7, 55 yards. Did get a touchdown. Last week had some rushing. This week no rushing. But you want to kind of keep an eye on these guys. And I think that being a number one in that offense isn't too awesome, but it's not bad because of considering the bye weeks and the guys that are out there. He's definitely getting the all the high number of touches over here, so worth the look at. What did he end up getting? I think 8-9 targets, which was leading over there in New England, and it's 2 weeks in a row with the same number of targets. So
I show 7 targets. I show 5 catches, 7 targets, both last week and this week. Except for last week, he only had 25 yards. This week, he had 55 yards.
50 yards. Maybe I missed that on the
Okay.
target number.
All right.
But
No
yeah,
worries.
that's about him. Yeah, that's there's it's slim pickings now. You know what I mean? Like everybody who's somebody or whatever is on somebody's
I
team.
mean, that's decent. That's like wide receiver 2 flex, easily.
And
So
and I would probably again look at Jaden Reed, because his counterpart also went down, and Christian Watson with those multiple injuries that we mentioned earlier. So it probably opens up some opportunities for Jaden Reed over there in Green Bay, who's been the guy getting touchdowns anyways and whatnot, alongside with Dobbs. So um, you know, worth the stash over somebody to look at if you have to. You're in the spot. I would probably look at him.
yeah, I have Dobbs over Reed at this point. I mean, they're both only
Yeah,
had 3 targets last week, but Dobbs has seen more. He's scored 3 more touchdowns and a little more consistent
yeah,
as far as when scoring. So if you have an opportunity for him, but he is, he's 65% on Yahoo, or I'm sorry, on Sleeper. I don't know what he is on Yahoo. I don't have that up, but yeah, not bad. Some guys, to take a look at. Anybody else you got there, wide receiver?
no, that's it. That's it. I think
All
the
right.
rest is
And
it's just
then we
game
kind of
plan
talked
today.
about tight end throughout the day. Do we want to recap those again? Just the
Uh,
names. You don't have to go into full
we'll just
details.
run through the names here. We've been mentioning Taysom Hill, Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, Jake Ferguson, and some Kate Otten sighting here, and John Smith doing some things. So those are guys that are these are the waiver wire guys, and some of these guys you could actually start week to week, or you could just keep streaming, and those are your options.
Absolutely. I agree there. All right. So we'll take that. Oh, I should have had that up for that. That'll still help me a little bit. But let's see. So we have a couple other just small things here in the chat, and then we'll call it a night. So we had Neanderthal asking for his 10 team full PPR. He has Hertz, Deshaun Watson, Waddle, Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Godwin, Cup, Higgins, Kamara, Henry, Ford, White, Laporta. He's 8-1, and he just played without Laporta. It's the one with no tight end. He didn't even pick one up. That's baller status right there. I remember being in those kind of situations, be able to do that to people. So yeah, I mean, obviously sitting at 8-1, it's a good team, and you got hurt, so you don't have to worry about Watson. You have some good wide receiver depth there. No true one. I mean, I guess you have Cup, but given the situation, you have no true one. But you have Kamara, Henry, Ford, White. I mean, that's a nice running back field. And Laporta's passed his bye week now, so you should have him the rest of the year. So yeah, I mean, I really like this team.
I'd be moving on Cup if I could.
There you
Higgins
go.
is going to be fire him up over somebody over here. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, for this next week for sure, I'd have Cup out of there. I'd be playing Ayuk, Cooper, and Higgins if it was a 3 wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm already trying to set your lineup over here.
Right? We're not there yet. We got till Friday. All right, we got FF Season saying, "What's good, get right? How's it going, Season?" You just missed Dustin, man. Or he was saying, "What's up to you here in the chat?" But he was actually on here in part 1. So maybe go back and check that. And for anybody who's watching here, man, we just dropped our 1,000 sub video. So make sure when we're done here, you guys go check that out. Make sure you leave that comment in there on the comment on the video, because we will be doing a drawing. And make sure you guys are also subscribed to our affiliate channels as well to be eligible to win our 1,000 subscriber ring. So make sure you guys go check that out. Smoky Cat asking, is Burrow back? He never really left. He was just hurt. I don't think we ever questioned his decision. Yeah, he couldn't run. So he couldn't step into his throws. Now that he can, you got Higgins back. Yeah, he never left. I was never worried about him. That's why I was saying go buy him everywhere. I was able to trade him for Kirk Cousins and I think Mike Evans and Kirk Cousins for Joe Burrow in a dynasty league. That's how much people were panicking off of his start. So, I mean, you look at any Joe Burrow season, tell me where he had a good start, first 4 or 5 games of the season, and I'll wait. So,
yeah,
that's
just
good.
it.
Yeah, that's just what he does.
He's also asking stash.
Imagine imagine where you draft him if, imagine where you draft him if, oh shit, I almost pulled my mic out again. Got excited. Yeah. Imagine if he actually plays good the first 4 weeks of the season, where he'd be drafted out the following year. So just keep it our little secret here. I get right. Go ahead. What's Smokey the Cat saying? And we'll get out of here.
He's asking if you should stash Roshan or Bigsby.
They're basically the same guy. So I'd say just take Roshan. Just because I don't want you to put any ill will out there wishing on ETN to get hurt, because I have several ETN shares, and that's my only real opinion there. But they're basically handcuffs. I mean, if anything, maybe take a chance, honestly, on Bigsby, all kidding aside, just because he's part of a better offense. If he did go down as far as ETN goes, then Bigsby would be the next man up, whereas Roshan, if Herbert goes down again, it's obviously Foreman. I mean, I guess we'll never know because he had a concussion, when Herbert went down, so kind of hard to say, but I'm kind of out on Roshan just because it's not a great offense in the first place. I'd rather have the guy attached to the better offense. So
I agree with what you're saying, but I think Roshan's probably getting the only touches. I was just looking at Tank Bigsby's.
Yeah, if you need somebody to play now, I'd say Roshan.
This guy even going to hit the field? He's only a handcuff.
Well, he said stash, so to me, stash means you don't need to play him. So if I need to play someone now, then yeah, it's Roshan over Bigsby for sure.
My point is that are you going to be able to play him if should you need him?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, how I think a stash is I'm set at the position. I just kind of have this here as a little lotto ticket. So if I want to which lotto ticket would I rather have? I'd rather have the lotto ticket at Bigsby.
Yeah, I get something happen. I just wanted to have that lotto ticket that actually puts up some points. If they do,
makes sense.
Even 3 points, because this guy's not even getting that. So
Right. But yeah, if ETN, but that's the thing is if ETN goes down or the guy in front of him goes down, what is his replacement value?
Yeah,
To me,
yeah,
Bigs
yeah.
me's
No, I get it.
replacement value is much
Yeah.
greater than
Yeah,
Roshan's replacement value.
it's a mess over there with Chicago. Yeah,
Because Foreman's
they're
there.
good.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
he missed his opportunity there. So we have Martin dropping some type of link in here. Is this your link, my guy, for the Dynasty Pylon? Not sure what that is, or maybe it's the one for the other show. Either way, the link I know for Dynasty Pylon's in the description, so make sure you guys go check that out. But let me know what that is, Martin. Oh yeah, we already did our underdog read, so I guess we are pretty much
Yeah, we're done.
done with the show. I like that. See, I like how you did that. And we don't have a bunch of stuff to do right at the end.
beginning. It's better to have it at the beginning. We got more people watching and everything else, and we need the support. Pay the
There we
bills.
go.
Pay the bills early.
For sure. All right, so I guess the last thing I have to say then here. Oh, hold on. Did he respond? He said, "Oh, he said no. It's our 1K." See,
this
is why he's a friend of the show. This is why he's a friend of the show. So yeah, make sure you guys use that link to our 1,000 subscriber video to make sure you guys hit that GRFN 1,000 comment over there, and just to win the ring, man. So make sure you guys go check it out. So there's a link in the chat there. Appreciate you, Martin. That's why you're our guy over there. I can't believe you're still up too. It's pretty late for you. But we appreciate it, man.
On that note.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially. All right, so we're out of here. So other than that, again, these are our subscribers, the Fantasy Frontline Podcast, the Checkdown Podcast, and the Dead Zone Fantasy Show, which is coming soon. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the 3 other channels in addition to our channel here. And for extra bonus added points, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Fantasy Boardroom and our boy over here, Martin, with the Dynasty Pylon. Those links are in the description as well for all your IDP and stuff like that. So he said, I don't self-promote myself. You're good, my guy. You know you can always self-promote over here, man. You contribute. You come out here. You put in the time on our show. Give people the content, the information on these IDPs, man. So, of course, I got to shout you out, man. And, I wouldn't take anything on that. I've already told you, got open invite to self-promote over here. So, so there we go. Yeah, so appreciate you, Martin. Again, make sure you guys go throw all that out there. Again, we're just so thankful and appreciative for being able to hit this 1,000 subscribers, man.
Yes,
it's been a surreal, unreal journey to this point. So hopefully we're here for 2,000 and more. So hopefully we keep it going, man. So for myself, for Classic Mike, for Dustin, and for my boy Frank here, we're Get Right Fantasy Network. We'll see you guys on Wednesday for roster management. You got the outro queued up, Frank, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Peace out. I wasn't hit.